If you're a first-time homebuyer and you want some useful tips that you're not going to find on every single web page when you Google Homebuyer Tips, then this video is for you. But be sure to stay for tip number 10 because the insurance companies will not suggest this as an option, and this edition can cover you from some very costly repairs. Tip number 1, get pre-approved 3 to 6 months before you actually start searching for homes, because the last thing you want is to be all excited, you're ready to go, and then the lender tells you that you need to get several other things in order before they can issue the pre-approval. Also, the lender can give you some tips on how to increase your credit score, so by the time you're ready to start looking, you'll have access to the best interest rate. Number 2, don't get scammed by online lenders that are promising you a much lower interest rate than the actual market rate. Often, they're including discount points, which requires extra money paid at closing in order to buy down the rate, and a lot of times this doesn't actually make sense. A trusted lender is going to walk you through everything and show you if this could be beneficial to you or not by comparing the numbers. Also, your pre-approval is based on a lot of estimates, so if you want to shop lenders, make sure to ask them for the loan estimate, because it may seem like one lender can get you a really great deal, but it could be that their estimates are just unrealistically low. Number 3, take utilities into consideration and ask the seller what their average utility costs are so that you can include that in your budget. Utilities can add $300+ a month depending on your family size and the energy efficiency of your appliances, so do not forget to include that. Also, don't stretch yourself too thin, because you may have heard, oh, it's a great idea to buy because then your payment never changes. But that's not always true. If the assessed value of your home increases, then the tax assessor can increase your property taxes accordingly. And while this varies from state to state, I think California doesn't allow property taxes to increase for the whole time that you own the home. I could be wrong on that. But in Minnesota, I've seen them increase by 36% in 1 year. So consider those increases when budgeting. Number 4, don't forget about closing costs. A lot of people be really excited, they have $10,000 saved for a down payment, and then they forget that they have to pay closing costs on top of that. So closing costs are 2 to 4%, about 2 to 4% of the purchase price. These include things like lender fees, title fees, mortgage recording fees, and prepaid interest and home insurance. There are down payment and closing cost assistance programs available, so don't worry, $10,000 might be more than enough. Or the seller may be willing to cover some or all of your closing costs, but they are a lot less likely to do that in a competitive market. Number 5, have open communication with your realtor and your lender. Don't be afraid to ask them to do more or less of something. If you want something explained more thoroughly, let them know. If you want your realtor to stop sending you homes with only 1 bathroom, tell them that. If you feel like they're not giving you the type of support that you need, say something. Don't get me wrong, as in every industry, there are some bad realtors out there, but often there are communication issues that can be resolved, and it's just a matter of getting on the same page and communicating your needs. Number 6, consider multifamily homes. I ask every single one of my clients if they want me to include this in their search because it's a great way to start an investment portfolio. One of the great things is that you can live in half and then you rent out the other half to help you pay the mortgage. But also, normally for an investment property, you have to put down 25%. But if you're an owner-occupant, you can get in with as little as 5% down. And the nice thing is that you only need to live there for a year before you can do it again. So you can be an owner-occupant of a new multifamily home. Or if you decide you just want the one, you can buy a single-family home, or however you want to do it. Number 7, create a wants and needs list, a non-negotiable list, and keep your search broad. You don't want to miss anything, and so keeping your search as broad as possible will help to ensure that, and you can always change things as time goes on. Several times I've had clients send me homes on Zillow, they're like, hey, why didn't I see this in my search? Well, it's because our systems are set up not to send homes that don't match all of your criteria. So if you keep it broad, it's going to be a lot less likely that you're going to miss something. If later you're like, I just can't have less than 2 bathrooms, it's totally okay. It takes 30 seconds to change it. So it's best to just keep it like a funnel and filter things out as you go. Number 8, don't ignore property taxes. I'm going to use an example to show you why this is important. So, a house that costs $220,000 could actually have a higher monthly payment than a house that costs $220,000 if the property taxes are substantially higher for the $200,000 home. I'm not exaggerating. I'll show you a breakdown of the cost with everything the same except for the property taxes. The home priced at $220,000 has annual property taxes of $2,016, which breaks down to $168 per month. And the home priced at $200,000 has annual property taxes of $4,689, which breaks down to $390 per month. But as you can see, even with all other costs remaining the same, the home that's priced at $220,000 has a lower monthly payment. If you want to save some time, ask your lender for an estimated monthly payment before you even go see a house, because the last thing you want is to go see the house and then discover later that it's outside of your desired monthly budget. Number 9, know what to expect from the home inspection. So all previously owned homes are going to come with their own set of issues, so don't expect to buy a brand new house unless you're buying a new build. The inspection report can be really intimidating because it might be 60, 70, 80 pages long. But don't get too scared of it unless things are scary, like foundation issues or there's a huge leak in the basement. Of course, you're gonna wanna make sure that you get a sewer scope. It is additional money, but it's totally worth it to make sure that you're not gonna have sewage backup. When you are negotiating repairs with the seller, it's a really good idea to focus on big ticket items, especially if there's like a foundation issue. In some cases, you may wanna run, but if they're willing to maybe do all the foundation repairs, that could be an option. But yeah, focus on those big ticket items, things that aren't working properly, and safety concerns as well. Definitely don't focus on upgrades unless they're safety related upgrades, because then the seller is going to be less likely to negotiate those items with you. It's important to note that an inspection does have its limitations. They're not going to be able to figure out everything that's wrong with the house, especially because each house has its own quirks, and there are some things that may not pop up until you live in the house for a little bit. To add to that, you definitely need a budget for repairs. They are inevitable. So the more that you set aside for those repairs, the less stressed you're gonna be when something breaks. Number 10, when you are shopping for home insurance, be sure to ask your agent about service line insurance. This is usually an additional $50 to $100 per year, but it can cover you for a lot. Your power lines, your phone and cable lines, and your water and sewer pipes. As far as I know, there are a couple of options, one up to $11,000 and then one up to $15,000. So say one of your pipes burst and then they need to dig in the yard to repair it. It costs you $11,000. That additional insurance should cover you for that. But I do want to give a full disclaimer, I am not an insurance agent, so that's something that you need to discuss with them before you purchase it, assuming that everything is going to be covered. Not all insurance companies actually offer this. So if you want to add service line insurance, you might have to switch insurance companies. I wanted to make sure to tell you this because I always tell my clients to ask for service line insurance because I've never had an insurance agent actually suggest it, and it covers you for a lot of really costly things. If you found this video helpful and now you want to know what the upfront costs are to buy a home, you should watch this video next.